Welcome to Melted. This is Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood. We have an exciting artist on the show tonight, Nadia Vaeh. She is a pop icon. She has a lot of great videos out that are out now and a lot of stuff to discuss about. She's a very conscious, thoughtful artist. She's from Atlanta now, staying in Los Angeles. So we get to talk with her, discuss her music, and all the various projects that she's doing. Melted is sponsored by Carlino Guitars, the hottest brand in the land. And you can also get lessons from Joe Filoni, who just whipped up that riff for us. Joe's amazing. And Eddie Carlino at Carlino Guitars, he's there all week. Check him out online. He does work for everybody from Slash, The Talisman, Cheap Trick, all the way to Kiss, all around. He does stuff for us, the Melted Chapsticks. So he will take care of any band, whatever you need, straps, guitars. He's fantastic. They have a big purple couch. You can sit on there and Jimmy will play you some solos. So it's really great. But I'm really looking forward to talking to Nadia today, just about her work, her life, what she's been up to. She's really fantastic. She has several songs coming out. But the stuff that she's done recently, Never Leave the Basement, what a great video itself. Visually, a lot of different messages in there, especially during COVID. Anxiety is another one that is really heart-wrenching, makes you think. Boomerang and Spellbinding, about relationships. And then another one with Jen Fedor, Front Row. Our dear friend Britt Lightning. Britt Lightning is in there from Vixen doing a solo. What a great video as well. And I want to talk about the LA Dancing Man. It was such a fun video. And then Yo-Yo. And a warm melted welcome to a conscious pop artist and icon. We will discuss her exciting music and videos. Nadia Vaeh, how are you?
Hey there, I'm good. How are you doing?
You know what? No complaints. I just was wondering if you wanted to do a little Deb K and smoke some hookah. What's going on?
So I am actually driving through the Grapevine right now. I unfortunately got caught in some traffic trying to make it over this. So if I'm a little wonky sound-wise, my apologies, but we'll make it work.
No, totally. I just appreciate your time. I really love your videos and the work that you're doing, and even the tough topics that you talk about, which I think are important to, help each other out, really.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like music is a really good way to talk about the tough stuff, It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful tool we have.
Yeah, super healing. Why don't you tell me about your single that's coming out this week for Pride?
So, first off, unfortunately, we're actually having to do some rearranging of the release date, which I will announce probably sometime tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's still very much in the theme of and spirit of Pride. And, I feel, I'm sure you would agree that Pride should be year round.
No, absolutely. When they talk about Black History Month, it just should be every day.
Right. I mean, we shouldn't be embracing these, the stories of those who, have been unheard for so long, every single day that we are able to wake up and breathe. But this song is super fun, and I'm really excited to get it out. Bummed we have to shift the release date, but it's for the best because we are fine-tuning some of the visual aspects of the song and really gonna tell the story of the song a little bit deeper, on a deeper level.
That's cool.
It's kind of touching on the journey of the person who's out of the closet and completely embraced their sexuality, and also the person who's kind of still like just tiptoeing out, like really scared, nervous, hasn't fully embraced their truth, and is maybe in that experimental stage of not trusting, like, am I this way? Like, is this who I am? Is this, hasn't really accepted that. So it's fun because it's all surrounded around the premise of a one-night stand, right?
Well, in other words, the title One Night, okay.
Right. We've all been there. We've all had that experience. And I think in my verse, there's like an apprehensiveness to my character within the song of, and it's very much rings true for me in my own sexuality journey, journey with like self, discovering that part of myself, kind of unsure if like that's how, who I am, like, do I try this out and see if this is really like for me, like, is this really who I am, and then when we hit to Danny's verse, there's a little bit more of a self-assured, but he's the one that's being used as kind of an experiment for someone who's unsure of their sexuality. And I think, obviously there would be a lot less experimentation if there was more acceptance of being different and loving differently and, having a different affinity for expressions of love,
Well,
so,
yeah, when you think about different, it's different because a certain group have laid it out to be one way.
exactly.
And that's the thing. There's, systems in place, and people who, want to learn about different things. A lot of that is squashed. I feel like K through 12 through college, if you don't do a certain thing, then they look down on you. If, you're not again, with the self-discovery and who are you, the Christians or the Christian philosophy, it's man and woman. That's it. There is no acceptance. And where are we going to go from here? And, with the different things that have been happening, hopefully people will become enlightened and aware that it's okay to talk about stuff. I feel that when I bring these issues up to people that are just ingrained in some sort of brainwash thing, they feel like you're attacking them instead of talking about the ideas.
Right. And, the way society is structured is very milestone oriented. Like, you pass your SATs, you go to college, you find your mate of the opposite sex, you have children or get married, of course, have children, and I think there are so many other stories that are finally being told, and thanks to social media and different TV shows coming out, like that, there are different, it's becoming more accepted to have an unconventional life path, or like it's becoming not as unconventional, which is beautiful because we all should just be able to live our lives and express ourselves freely without shame. And that's why I love music so much, is it's such an easy space to be expressive without fear of judgment, because it's looked at as art. It's so fun, that we have that.
No, for sure. And I, with One Night, I'm really excited to see the video because of Never Leave the Basement, Anxiety, Boomerang, Front Row. We could go on and on. Your videos are fantastic visually as well.
Thank you so much. We love just finding ways to tell the story of the song visually. I think that's one of my favorite parts of being an artist, is to really find ways to communicate the song even a step further, and it's very fun for me and my team.
Yeah, for sure. And I think even again, going back to whether it's sexuality or things that you want to do in life, first of all, I wish they gave parents a guidebook to kind of, because it all goes back generationally. So,
oh yes,
if I was born in a different place, I'd probably be a Muslim. I was raised Catholic. And so there are a lot of factors that go into that. But then when you have, just such a narrow vision, if you take, culturally, religious, it's just very, very narrow and constricting. the problem becomes with when people treat other humans, either, if you go through the Old Testament, wiping out cities, Sodom and Gomorrah, people being thrown off of buildings because they're gay. It's really, I'm glad that, we'll get to COVID in a second, and being in my basement. The point is that we've made these steps, but when a lot of people, it's like George Carlin said, you realize a lot of people are stupid, and then you realize half of them are even stupider. In other words, people again aren't open to talking about ideas, and it's okay, because I think you've talked about binary, and there's just different ways to look at things, and I am more in the gray now, and a lot of it is acceptance, because do whatever you want, don't harm anybody, and it seems like everybody else will get along. I'm happy people are getting laid. Do it more often.
Right. I truly believe that if we can get society to a place of more acceptance versus everyone trying to live within a certain bounds, we will achieve more peace. We won't have as many wars. We'll find more harmony with nature. It's just, there's such a discordance that's been created by perversion of religion and just like creating such a narrow, like a need to control society and people through these bounds, and our parents, we right now it's like our job and these like last few generations, I think, to kind of heal the damage that our parents kind of co-signed on.
Parenting the parents, yes.
Yeah. Like right now it's kind of our job to just like, one, unlearn the things that they impose on us, and then two, try to educate them that there is more than they thought there was out there, and to love and understand. And I think there's a lot of negative sides to social media, but there's also some beauty there, and that is in the spreading of there being more ideals than we've been spoon-fed,
Well, yeah, for sure. And it's just, again, there's a book called Mass Movements where, whether it's politics, religion, politics, there's a chicken in every pot, or some states pot in every chicken, which I approve of. With religion, streets of gold, 70 virgins. But you have to get to that end before you find out it may or not be true. And, how many wars have we had over these thoughts where we're just supposed to love each other and do these good things for each other, yet still, a majority aren't getting it. But that's why I'm glad for the artists to be able to speak their truth, which you do. I thought about something that you said, because, in your journey, you joined the circus. And Alan Watts says, follow your dreams and the money will follow. He's a philosopher from the 60s.
I love Alan Watts.
Yeah, and that's what was great was, you're like, what is stopping me from doing this? And again, I started music late in life, but you've had a lot of different really hard tragedies. And we've all had them, and they're real to us. But you've, taken those steps to do that. And in your journey, you're back playing music, which is fantastic. You have a beautiful voice. Your videos are amazing. And, I just wanted to go through some of them. As far as never leave the basement, again, is that our COVID ballad?
I hope so. I really do hope so. As we're coming out of this, I hope everyone starts screaming that song as they're leaving their basements. You know, 2020 was, I feel like, a year of massive growth for many. And I definitely know that I was able to work through some of the imposed beliefs of my parents and other, just things that weren't serving me mentally. And, the concept of leaving the basement, I feel like it means so many different things. It means leaving behind things that are not serving you anymore. Um, kind of just letting go of things in a lot of ways. And, you know, having us had, triple double our screen time for the year of 2020, I feel like that created a whole nother subset of issues. We might have been healing other things because we had all that solitude, but other things I feel like came up for me, and some friends of mine too as well. And you know there's a beautiful side to social media, like connecting with people, beautiful spirits like you.
Thank you.
And many of my collaborators I've met because of social media, but there's also the darker side. There's an unwritten pressure, I think, for many artists and even just people that utilize the platforms to present a certain portion of their life.
They call them
And be very,
the highlight reels. They don't show you
yeah,
the low lights, which is the cat litter in the basement while I'm trying to learn my modes.
exactly. Yeah, the dark parts are not ever shown. Like, it's very much filtered and edited and cropped and all that, right? And having that concentrated amount of time of having to use our screens a lot more, I think, kind of woke people up in a lot of ways, and made us more aware of like a lot of the flaws in the system. And definitely for me, I started to just, it was born out of a very frustrated place where I was like, oh my gosh, everything feels so simulated. Like, what are we doing? How, like, we're all falling into this, way of being, and, no one's pushing the envelope. Like, like, I just was so frustrated with society and like, the lack of responsibility from influencers and utilizing filters to talk about a skincare product, and not being genuine and honest at like, hey, this product really achieves this result, not the result with this filter. Just
Right.
um, giving young girls false impressions. 12-year-olds are going and getting fillers in their face, and that just made me so sad. That makes me so sad. Having grown up and been an adolescent right before like MySpace and all that, when I think of my time as an adolescent and how terribly difficult it was, and to think about how having social media in addition to how hard it is to be going through puberty already and identity crises over and over, like, I cannot imagine what these kids are going through. And it's just uh something where I think we haven't even seen what the price is going to be for that yet, you know?
No, absolutely. And the other thing is too, and it's just with this technology, they could again. You brought it up, the duality and into the middle. You can use it for good or can be used for evil. The point is, it seems like it's all about monetizing without seeing what the effects are on humankind.
Right.
I barely watched the news over COVID. I was very much
Good.
isolated. I went to my first show yesterday, which was outdoors, Porch Fest. I sat there. I watched my bassist. They're in another band. I had a fantastic time. And what I loved about it was I feel like I've grown a lot in the way where I didn't have to carry the conversation with everybody. I didn't have to take pictures and post that I was somewhere.
Right.
I really just enjoyed my time. And then I left and went home. So it is true that a lot of us, again, they could use technology to teach people everybody how to do heart surgery. They just want to sell their products. So that's another thing to make people aware of. I don't really listen to the ads, you know. I just shut that stuff off. And again, it gets back to self-esteem, anxiety, which we'll jump into in a second. It really is. I think when you go out to bars now, and I'm 28 again, I'm about 800 years old. But before that, it was like people were forced really to interact if you're going to interact. It seems now people are just on their screens. And even when you go out and say you were looking to make conversation, it's even harder. I know how to do it, but it seems like a lot of folks don't. Not judging them. That's just another piece of technology.
It's just a result of the times and what's become normal for us, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
But I'm hoping that kind of as an emergence of like leaving the basement, that there is more of an appreciation of putting the screens down and embracing real life. And I want to touch on, so I don't know if you know the artist Lorde, but she just put out a song called Solar Power. Okay. And much of it is about like, she's so avant-garde in her style for being like a mainstream pop artist, but she, like, the whole MO of the song is like, get out there and be present and like be in nature. And it's like divine, it's like perfect timing with that song. And I'm wondering if like people are gonna have a different approach to like being in real life after this last year, you know?
Yeah, I think
it's interesting.
Yeah, it is a good question. We'll wait and see. I know that I've been reading a lot of books on Zen and Buddhism and etc. I was raised Catholic, evangelical Christian, atheist, and now I'm a Satanist, and that keeps a lot of people away. But this is the other thing, is people don't understand Satanism. We don't believe in a god or a devil. Their first sin is not to be stupid, and one of them is to always dress well, which, you know, I've got to step up my game now after I've seen your videos. But the point is I don't need religion or anybody to be kind, to help. My thing is I like to make people laugh under their mask when I'm out buying my groceries. It's just this is real life. So, you know, we'll wait and see, but it's good that you're admonishing people to do it. And the other thing is, too, I love the technical difficulties that we've done our live streams as well. You know, you're in the middle of it, damn it, this thing broke. And that's just real life, going back to your Instagram post that talked about, and I talked to a lot of artists, and I'm really an outgoing person. But again, to share our real life, who we are, and to feel comfortable about it is, again, going against the highlights. When we're in the depths of COVID, I would see everybody scrolling, and I'm like, am I the only one staying in and playing guitar? It seems like everybody else is out, you know, doing all these stuff, but, you know, I'm making decisions for myself. I'm an adult, but by no means is Instagram what life really is.
No, not at all. And I think sometimes it can be, if we're not monitoring our screen time, you know, it can be easy to forget. Oh yeah, that is the highlight reel. I probably should go live some life. You know, it's easy to fall into the mind game. It can be.
Oh, and they know what they're doing as far as, you know, if you look at one thing, they put cookies on it. If I'm looking to buy a bass guitar, everywhere I turn, there's the bass guitar or the Audi.
I know.
I'm like, leave me alone, please. I have a question for you. I was watching Never Leave the Basement. I just felt like there may be one or two hidden messages. But I saw Marilyn Monroe on the wall and Wonder Woman. And again, it's like, Wonder Woman, all powerful, which is awesome. You have Marilyn Monroe, who's an icon. But if you go through her life, there was so much sadness. And I just didn't know if, there was any sort of meanings behind that. But
So I've always been a major Marilyn Monroe fan. I've always kind of identified with her in a lot of ways because she does kind of have this like beautiful heaviness to her, but also like soft strength and power. And I feel like I'm always going to be an emo girl. I will always be highly sensitive and emotional, and that's served me well as a musician. And I've accepted it. I am always in my feels, feeling them all the way.
yeah.
But Monroe, I kind of just get that vibe from her too, like that she just carried the weight of the world. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I believe that Wonder Woman is kind of the opposite, and I always, like you said, duality. Like I'm always obsessed with duality, and that's kind of how I feel like social media is, and how like life is. There's always a good and bad coin, and that's why I do find like studying religions fascinating. I've done some studying of Satanism actually as well too. It's fascinating.
Yes.
But yeah, I think as far as like wanting to include both of them, it's just they're both pieces of me. Like I have this ability to tackle and like go through hell and back, and then stand on top of the mountain and be like, "Fuck you," Like, sorry, I don't know if you can curse on here.
Yeah, you're allowed.
Okay, cool. But then I also feel like I can be softer and like more sensual, and I have that whole other side to me too.
Yeah, and that's a great spectrum to have. I also tell me about Lonnie and the fashion help, because does Lonnie help you with everything?
No, my first time working with her was on this video, and first of many, because she is phenomenal. She is such a good eye, and I told her kind of I wanted to incorporate the concept of WandaVision, which they have this new TV series surrounded all about the Scarlet Witch from the Marvel series, Wanda, and it takes us through like the show takes you through several different decades, and it kind of touches on Wanda forming a simulated reality born out of her grief. And she's so powerful that she entraps thousands of people in this simulation with her, and she's completely shut off their minds and has complete control over the whole scenario, over the whole town that she has created to keep the people that she's lost alive under this spell, right? And I kind of told her that I wanted to incorporate looks from all these different decades, and she was on it. She was immediately like, okay, I'm going to do this and then pull this from this. And she really brought to life what I had been hoping to showcase from the series. And we also were able to set up this house to kind of help further the styling. It was so fun. Such a fun thing to make.
No, really, really super. I really loved it. And as far as moving on, anxiety, something we all face, and really was, it really broke my heart, and I could identify with it. Just coming home alone. I don't know. I hope that wasn't a sharp knife with the food. It was just like, I was like, oh, what's going on here? But, it's terrible. And until, again, that's another thing that is kind of taboo to talk about. It's getting counseling, getting help, and working through it. And, again, listening to some of your other interviews, when I heard about your mother, I was like, wow, that's something, so heavy. Um, did that, these different things play into anxiety, or was it something else?
I would say a lot of my mental health struggles, like, definitely anxiety, are born from, just sudden changes in my life, like losing my mom the way I did. I definitely think that sent me into fight or flight. And I honestly feel like ever since I went through that, I think I've almost gotten so comfortable in being in an anxious state that it's become a normal thing. I've been doing a lot of work around that to where it's become like I'm more aware of when I am actually in high anxiety, and I can dial it back and be like, oh my gosh, okay, you need to go take some time. But for a long time, I just feel like I was in such a state of survival mode and such high anxiety. It's a wonder I even connected with my collaborators that I adore. So, like I didn't scare everyone away with my mental health challenges, but everyone stuck by me. And I think that was, part of what has helped a lot of my healing, and also the music, of course. Um, and I think, um, anxiety is definitely something that everyone struggles with. And when I put out the song, just coming to know that on a deeper level after receiving messages from people was also insanely cathartic. So
Yeah, for sure. Because I look at it this way, and I, tell my friends, my dear friend Chris, who's in such great shape, he ended up getting COVID, going to the hospital, almost dying. And we talk about the different things in life that we face. But it comforts me to know that whatever we're going through today, there's a couple 100 million people going through the same thing. It doesn't mean that your problems aren't real to you or important, because they are. But the
right.
key is you're not alone. You're not alone. And that gives me comfort. And then also to recognize 1 billion people, 1 in 8, won't eat tonight. And if you
Right.
find spare change, you're ahead of most of the planet. So again, these are just little things that help me in talking to my counselor about non-duality and different things like that to help, is that sometimes, especially in Boston, and your traffic too, God help you. We the drivers here, it's like you're getting the middle finger all the time, weaving in and out of traffic, getting screamed at. They do call them massholes for a reason. But, you know, with that stuff, anger consumes us immediately. But if you can realize and give that anger space and realize that there are other feelings, and looking at other people and their feelings, it kind of diminishes it. And also, scientifically, the fight or flight response, I think, only lasts for 15 minutes. And that made me feel better. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just good stuff. And to be able to talk about it, where, my dad and his family and, those generations, if you broke your leg and you're bleeding, my grandmother would call that a sprain. It's like, you can't be so sensitive. And that's one of our best qualities. So,
Yeah. I think sometimes, like, just embrace, like my therapist says, is just letting the feeling of anxiety wash over, letting it cycle through the body, and then it will, like you said, and within 15 minutes it will dissipate, and you can move on to a different emotion, a different feeling that's more accurate. And that's why therapists are so wonderful. Everyone should have some sort of counselor or therapist that they can
really
talk
just
to.
talk about this stuff. It's really great. And I've been sober for 10 years for everybody's safety, and stoicism has helped, and taking a day at a time. And these cliches are cliches for a reason, remain teachable, because they're true, and it's good stuff. So those are the foundations, and you making people aware of, hey, let's get out of the basement. We've learned something talking about anxiety. And then let's talk about peace over violence. Music Cares. A couple wonderful videos, Boomerang and Spellbinding.
Sure, yeah. So I'll touch on Peace Over Violence first. They're an amazing organization based out of LA, and I've aligned with them on a couple of my songs because I feel like they kind of embody what those songs' intentions were when writing and making them. Both songs were born out of reflecting on a relationship that was abusive and unhealthy, and Peace Over Violence works hard to get people out of those situations, and they do a lot of community work and give back. And I went and I was able to perform at their headquarters right before pandemic, right before, and I did a workshop with them where we did some art therapy, we did some like finger painting exercise and just various things, and it's amazing how impactful that afternoon was and utilizing art. So I love the way they think and the way that they use kind of like holistic therapeutic approaches in with their the people that are in need. So, and they provide counseling and resources to people who can't afford to. So
yeah, because it's just another thing that we don't need in our lives, in these relationships. Toxic stuff. Because it's like, again, like I envision the boomerang, coming back, and it is a cycle that needs to be broken. And I read over Peace Over Violence mission statement, and it's a fantastic thing that they do. So, it's really appreciated that, you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think like a boomerang, it's so much easier for people to fall back into these entrapments with these. So sorry, my GPS was just yelling at me. It's so easy to fall back into these entrapments with these people who have a perceived power over us when we're in these vulnerable states of mind, if we don't have this adequate support system, which is where Peace Over Violence comes in. So love them, love what they do.
Yeah, that's awesome. And now, is Music Cares, associated with these videos as well, or is that something separate?
So I aligned with Music Cares during the pandemic because of everything that was going on with artists losing the chance to perform live.
Absolutely.
And, have any chance of creating income for themselves. It's such a hot mess for so many, and they were really doing a lot of work to create grants for artists and help them not go under in this crazy time. And they've done that even before pandemic, but they really stepped up and started fighting for the artist during that time. So I was happy to align with them, and they are kind of one of the main groups that does that sort of work for artists, music artists.
No, it's really, the thing is, I think Germany and Canada spend more on the arts. We don't, our country really, I feel, doesn't value it enough, with the funding. Yeah. It's so terrible.
It's so true. Europe is like, oh, like here's a great, like it's crazy that there's just such a like it's viewed as such a commodity here in the States, and Broadway's going under, and there's hardly any funding to support these poor Broadway actors that have completely lost their ability to it's I think that there will be some shifts made in that regard in the near future, but like these things were already done in Europe. You're so right. It's like, come on, guys, come on, United States, let's get it together.
Yeah, our brothers, Canada's taking care of business. So it's, that is important, and it is therapeutic. Humming, singing, it's just a beautiful thing. So I really love it. So with Boomerang the video, I thought when it started out that it was you were triplets. Is that right or no?
I've gotten that a few times, actually. I love that. It's funny because actually growing up, and this is totally unintentional, growing up, my sisters and I were often asked if we were triplets. So I kind of love that translates on accident in the video. And I made it with my cousin. So I made it with my actual family.
Oh, nice.
And then it's just kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, the dancers in that video, they're incredible girls. They killed it. And my cousin is such a badass filmmaker. And we actually worked on the treatment for anxiety with me as well. But
powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good to, you have the resources, and making those connections, and anything is possible, and intention, including, the things that we want to do. Paul Stanley from Kiss would say he would always, pretend to play in front of 80,000 people. So really, we are frequencies, and you really have an impact. And I think that's where self-talk is important, and to get these things done. But Boomerang was fantastic. With Spellbinding, can you tell me more about that? Dance studio, you guys were, going back and forth.
Yes, so Spellbinding is definitely that push-pull, again, kind of much like Boomerang, but in an intoxicating way. That one was more so inspired by a narcissistic fellow that I dated that definitely did more mind damage than like physical.
No, right, and that's a good thing to point out. It's not just the physical. There's just so much, harm that can be done, and that if you're not well enough, you're subjected to it, and it's just a terrible thing.
Right, and it does recreate, if you're vulnerable and you go into a relationship scenario with a type like that, and you haven't dealt with a lot of trauma, they'll often recreate it and make it far worse. And the video, like the whole idea of the video is just kind of to portray that kind of intoxicating, like push pull, like I want to get out of this, but I'm too almost aqueous because I haven't developed myself yet, and I don't know what the fuck I am, and I feel, it's like that feeling of entrapment, but like you also don't know how you would exist outside of that scenario because you've not come to know yourself, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
that's true. I really also enjoyed the version with lyrics. And
thank you.
And the pictures. You put that together as well. It was great. I loved it.
Thank you so much.
I also, speaking of, these topics that we think about, with how did you spend most of your COVID? You were able to do these videos. Was it tough to get the testing done, or was it just pretty much a small crew and yourself to do all of this?
So a lot of all these videos were just my friends and I making stuff happen, or my cousin, everything we do is like low to no budget. We're like just kind of bootstrapping a lot of it. And we have a loose outline of what we want to accomplish, of course, but some of it is just, like you said, kind of going in with an intention and letting things just kind of fall into place. And it generally has worked out, where things just kind of like, we're like, oh shit, we didn't mean it, but that's actually even better than what we saw,
right?
Or wanted to, and that I think is like really the most exciting thing about creating these videos, is just going into it with an idea and then coming out on the other side like, well, damn.
No, for sure, because it's art. And that's the great thing about it, because I'm not here to compare. I thank God for punk music. I sing the best that I can. But there's a place for everybody to do their art. There's 62,000 songs thrown up on Spotify a day. And I'm happy about that, because there's a bunch of people making art. Now, going back to making money on it, that's a different story. But that should not stop us from making our art. And all of your videos are high quality. Some, are fun. We're going to jump onto another one that I really thought was a lot of fun, which is Front Row. But your videos look great. And, that's right. You think about these different, indie films, etc., that make it to the top. I'm so happy that stuff happens. So we got to just keep doing it.
Oh, yeah. And, I love that quote you said from Alan Watts at the beginning, because it's so true and important to remember for any artists out there that get, sometimes I have my rough days where I'm just like so like tired, and I'm stressed out about making ends meet, but there is a certain degree of trust that goes into the journey, and just following your truth and sharing that, and then like the rest will follow. And it's a really good mantra, and I love that you said that.
No, I live by that as well, because again, especially like we had some shows coming up, whatever, they were canceled. I can't control people, places, or things. It's how I react to it. Buddha's second arrow. Something will happen, and I'll be like, oh. And then, if I think about it again, I'm inflicting harm on myself. That's the concept of Buddha's second arrow. So it's like really learning to live in the moment. We can make these plans, but being present is the best. And it just sounds like so much fun, with you and your cousin, and dressing up and making these videos. It's just really, and not only that, but it's just, again, the message that people really, really should be able to talk about, because we're so separated. And that's what really frustrated me about Republican, Democrat, about politics. Again, I go back to George Carlin. He said 1% owns all the judges, both political parties, and all they want us to do is be separated. They own all the good lands. But in the meantime, what am I going to do? I'm going to keep sharing ideas. I look at everybody, they have an invisible backpack. I'm not going to make it worse. We'll try to make it better. And, so I'm really proud of you for what you're doing, to be so raw and just say, hey, everybody, it's not all a highlight. You can just be yourself. But it's just the marketing, I guess, too, do you think?
The marketing of the music, you mean?
More of the marketing of how we're supposed to be,
Yeah, I genuinely, I was just having this conversation with a friend earlier today. I really believe that the artists that translate beyond, their bedrooms or their basement are the ones that are literally wearing their heart on their sleeves and just letting it, not like keeping some things for private for themselves, but kind of just being open, like, hey, this is me, these are my struggles, my life has some great highlights, but there's also these moments too that you should probably know about. So, I definitely have run into instances where I've gotten wind of like an artist friend comparing their life to another artist friend, or and it's just like, I think, and I found myself doing the same thing too, where I'm like, oh man, like how'd they do, like, but at the end of the day, like you said, there's all these songs hitting Spotify, but there's enough to go around. It all just boils down to like, what's your intention?
Are
Are
you
you
happy?
able to, are you happy? Are you doing what you actually love? Are you actually just, yeah, trying to do something for whatever cloud or, yeah. So I think, yeah, that's like probably like the number one thing I would say. Like, it doesn't even have to be marketing when you're putting out a song. It just has to be, I think, yourself. That's something I realized on my journey anyway. I feel like when I first was starting out, I was like thinking of these elaborate, like, oh my God, I gotta like have this color scheme and like have this particular video lighting. You know what I mean? I feel like in the beginning I like was all wrong about it. It's like, oh no, I just need to have fun and like do why I started this. Like, get back to why I started this. It's because I love music. It's because this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life, no matter what. If it becomes my bread and butter, or if it's just my thing that I do to feel better, you know. And yeah, I think you would agree. Like being a fellow, it's just best to just do and be.
Yeah, doing me, because it's been a real great revelation for me interviewing various artists, about they're humans. There's insecurity. You think about these actors and actresses, and you see them in Hollywood. Something that they asked Tom Hanks, what's something we don't know about you? I take out my own trash. I mean, it's like, we are humans and we have these different things that we're working on. But as far as, I don't know if you've watched Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I saw like one episode and then I was just horrified. I didn't watch anymore. But that's the thing. How many likes do you have? All of this sort of, that's our value. And, if you're going to get caught up in that, you're going to be severely disappointed. So, I'm glad that you're bringing an awareness to that. And another fun, catchy song and great video, Front Row, with Jen Fedor featuring yourself. Britt Lightning did the solo, and I got to interview Britt, who's now the musical director at the Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp. I interviewed David Fishoff, who runs the show there, and it was just tremendous. And the LA Dancing Man, I actually have some gear like that. I just, to be able to dress up and have a good time. Tell me about how that came about. What was it like? The song, how you were approached, and then the video itself, which is fantastico.
Mwah! Yes. So Jen Fedor is an incredible life force in my life. I adore working with her and adore just knowing her. We befriended each other at an artist circle, and we were like instructed to like interview each other and like ask questions. And she had expressed that she wanted to write songs, and I was like, well, you should do it. I was like, you should come to my next writing session. And so I invited her to a writing session with my buddy Henry, and we just started writing regularly because it was immediate synergy. And she came to Henry and I one session and was like, hey, I'm working on this documentary. And she kind of gave us the lowdown, and she's like, I'd love for us to write something for in the spirit of the documentary and maybe for the score. And we're like, hell yeah, let's do it.
And then it came to be. I mean, I was like,
about the dancing man and his, quirks, and his, Howard's, a little bit about his story. And we just started riffing and like, about his spin, how he likes to spin, and we came up with him dancing like a tornado, and the song was just kind of born. And then the documentary, 2020 happened, and the documentary turned into this almost celebration of live music and live music coming back, something we've all really missed. So I'm really honored I got to be a part of that, and so fun. The song, the video, everything was really fun to collaborate with Britt and the gang too. So
nice. How did Britt get involved?
She's friends with Jen, and Jen was just like, hey, do you want to jump on? And
Do you want to crush a solo? She's like, yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
do.
right. She's so killer. She's so good.
No, and
We had a lot of fun on set too.
no doubt. I mean, it was really wonderful. Now, the documentary itself, how long is that?
I believe it's a 20-minute docu.
Awesome.
It touches all the feels. Definitely a good one to check out. I love it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing about, collaboration, the message. It's just a great piece of work. And it was inspiring to me. It really, really is. And I'm just going to keep making my art as well. That's all we're going to do. And
hell yeah.
Yeah. And as far as, I know you have a show coming up in July. Is there anything sooner? There's a tour in England, depending. Has anything changed? What is happening?
So my show date has actually changed.
Wait a second. What? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The Mint had something come up on my original show date. So now I'm on August 13th at the Mint, which is a Friday, in LA, for any LA folks. If you happen to leave Boston and come to LA.
And why not? The 13th is a great day to do it.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. Let's be weird.
Heck yeah. And that brings Saturday the 14th.
Yeah, it's going to be a really fun show. And I have another song coming out later this summer called Leap of Faith. And it's all about taking a chance on yourself and your passion and your dreams. And it's also kind of, I feel like it's a leap into a different era of me as an artist. Like even more Nadia, like even more me. Like not as highlighted, filtered, all that shit. So.
Right. An icon just being an icon is still an icon. Did you do the video for that, or have you sketched out the storyline?
Yes, and this video is really different from my other videos. It's in editing right now, but it's very much just raw. It's a video of me actually moving out of my apartment. That's all I can really tell you so far, but it's fun. It's very fun.
Whatever, with an AH.
Yeah.
So I was just going to ask on a side. So were you, you're Lebanese? What else? You're Lebanese and what?
Lebanese and just American, probably like German, Irish.
Nice.
Combo. Yeah.
Are you Lebanese Catholic, or were you raised a certain way, or?
So my mom was definitely a hippie.
Awesome.
We went to a Unitarian Universalist church growing up.
Even better.
And she strongly encouraged us to explore other world religions. So she would send me with the neighbor kid to the Methodist church, with the other neighborhood kid to the Catholic church, so I could get a very well-rounded scope of what I wanted for myself. And at the end of it, I was like, yeah, I think I'm a Unitarian /
Universalist.
Tree hugger. Yeah.
No, and it's just such good stuff. The energy, I mean, I'm really glad that I've gotten a chance to study Hitchens, Dawkins, Sam Harris, science, and I would never put anything down, so, it's just good stuff. A lot of other people won't do that, hence you have your crusades, etc., but you're really on the right track. And Nadia, I appreciate you coming on to Melted. I will have this posted in the next couple days. And then you just keep rocking, and I look forward to things coming. As far as what's going on with the European tour?
So it's really COVID dependent. It just kind of depends on how vaccines and things go over in the UK. They haven't opened everything up yet to US.
Did they have obviously they had a variant But this is what concerns me about all this stuff is, this stuff mutates, and like, I just hope it works out sooner than later. So will you be doing any U.S. then?
Yes. So I am planning a little bit of a U.S. excursion up and down the West Coast, and then I'm trying to work out something on the East Coast as well. So I probably truly won't hit UK until top of next year, more than likely. That's going to be the case. So I'll just focus on the US. I'm hoping I can come hit Boston. That'd be cool.
Yeah, please do. We need you.
Yes.
3-day set.
Right.
We'll get everybody straightened out and just fill with love and peace. That'll be great. And we look forward to it. We'll have you back on the show. Other than that, it's just wonderful to hear about your journey and what's going on. You're more than a pop artist and an icon, and just keep making that art.
Thank you. You keep rocking too, and I will keep you posted on my East Coast adventures. Hopefully I can
Extravaganza. Yes.
Yay.
Well, I'm so happy for you, and I wish you all the success, blessings, and fun to come your way, because you've inspired me and many others. So keep going after the topics that help us out. I'm glad that things aren't off limit, and I like the fact that you'll talk about the tough stuff, but also take a leap of faith, talking about one night. It's just beautiful. So I know it's time travel. You're 3 hours behind me, so have some fun from my past, which was a few hours ago. Have a great night.
On it. I have big plans.
Yes.
Thank you, Frankie.
You have a great day, and I'll ping you when it's up. We'll talk soon.
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And that was Nadia Vaeh, wonderful pop artist. A lot of great songs. One Night's coming out this week, as well as Never Leave the Basement is out, Anxiety, Boomerang, Spellbinding. I love the documentary Front Row. Britt Lightning's in that as well. Jen Fedor. The LA Dancing Man. I mean, it's just, we need to do more of that stuff. She also has a video. Yo-Yo, Leap of Faith will be out in a few months. And it's just nice and refreshing to have an honest talk about real life stuff. It's not all about the highlights, but you're loved anyways. And that was Nadia Vaeh, pop icon, tackling all the tough subjects and wanting us to continue our art. She's a beautiful vocalist. Please check her out. I'll have all her links. And this is another great episode. I want everyone to have a great week. It's Frankie Melted Chapsticks Hollywood. Melted, sponsored by Carlino Guitars. And you just treat yourself to a great moment by moment. And we love you.